right, so here's one of the things that I noticed in the book. You know, you've got a great intro and you give a lot of acknowledgments, and there's a lot of PhDs and MDs. But, you know, one of the things that I know a lot of people are going to be asking is, okay, well, this worked for a 32-year-old guy, and he's already in shape, and he's super motivated, and, you know, but he's not a doctor.
Right.
Okay, so you're going to have the skeptic.
Sure.
And one of the first things you also talk about is, look, don't believe me, be skeptical. You've got 5 rules at the beginning of the book. But why don't you talk a little bit about the types of people that you consulted with and the range, and a lot of them are PhDs and MDs. So first of all, how many of them, and what types of people were you working with?
Dozens were mentioned, and well over 100 in total. And the objective was to be the explorer and the guide and the guinea pig, not the source of all knowledge, because that's ridiculous. Because if I want to know about thermodynamics and how to use cold to accelerate fat loss 300%, I'm going to go find Ray Cronise, who's a scientist at NASA. That's all he does all day long is thermodynamics. Right. I'm actually not going to talk to a nutritionist in that case, because I'm going to trust the aerospace scientist to know Newton's laws better than the nutritionist. Or if I want to talk about injury repair, I'm going to talk to, let's say, Lee Wolfer, who's Harvard trained. She's a spine specialist. She's the top of the top in that field. And what everything is based upon is, first and foremost, a foundation of scientific references. And then with the help of these experts in various areas, if I'm going to be working with ultra endurance, I'm going to go find, let's say, Scott Jurek. He's in the book. He's won the Western States 100-mile race 6 or 7 times consecutively, and he's a vegan. So it's like everything's stacked against him in many ways. Those are the people I depended on. But I would say this much, and that is that the average general practitioner is not trained to be an exercise physiologist. They're not trained to be a nutritionist. They've specialized in things that largely neglect those areas. And I've gone through the medical curriculum for nutrition. It was called Pogo Health for many years.
Yes.
It's about 130 hours of self-paced curriculum. I've gone through it. It was used at Harvard, Stanford, Johns Hopkins. I know what they study. And I would just say that you need to have experts in every field, and I didn't want to replace those people. And so I think for people who say, well, how could you write a book like this? You're not a doctor. I would say, well, how could Malcolm Gladwell write a book about blank or about the tipping point if he's not a marketer or he's not a this, that, the other thing? It's not his job. He's really the teacher and the investigator, and that was my role. Okay,
that's one really interesting, because I was at TEDMed. That's where we chatted earlier this summer. And there was one guy there, actually the creator of the first synthetic cell.
Yeah.
His name's I'm spacing on his name right now. But one thing he said that was really great is this idea of uncommon collaboration. And that's what he loves about TED. And it seems like that's a big part of what happened here, is without your ability to connect with all these people and synthesize all this knowledge and be a willing guinea pig, it just, what you did inside this book just hasn't been possible before.
Right. I think what made this so timely for me, so the question could be asked, why didn't I write this before the 4-Hour Workweek? If this was really what I wanted to write. And the answer is access. So the 4-Hour Workweek got me access to the best scientists, the best Olympic coaches, world-class athletes, everybody. So I was in a position to have one foot, let's say, in the world of high-end endocrinology, and then in the other foot in advanced bodybuilding, professional bodybuilding. And I could actually find the best practices in both and try to put them together. Whereas, unfortunately, the price you pay for being a very world-class specialist is that you're stuck in your specialty. You don't get exposed to these uncommon tangents that can have a huge influence on what you actually practice and recommend.